So eventually at some point you're going to have to tighten your chain. There's basically 3 ways to approach this. I'm going to go over all 3. I'm going to go over the 2 most common and easy ways, probably what you're going to run into. I would consider not the hardest way, but this is not my first choice. There is a master link in chains. I'm not going to show you in this video how to do this, but you can pull this master link out and take a link or 2 out of the chain. I don't think that's necessary at this point. The most common method is adjusting the tensioner. It's kind of like a manual sort of a chain tensioner. I'm going to show you. I'm going to take all these panels off so you can see everything. Then the other option at the front of the bike on the Monster Moto, there's this adjustment here which actually slides the engine up. Fortunately on this engine, I'll kind of get under here, there's 4 bolts or nuts on here. Some models you may have to loosen those first. That's just a matter of you can tighten up this nut here, and at the front here you tighten this. It's hooked under here onto the engine, and it will pull the whole engine forward, and that will tighten the chain. I'm actually going to be doing that today, but I'm going to take these panels off so we can look at the chain, see how loose it is. Then we'll also talk about this tensioner and how that works too for tightening the chain, in the event that normally you only have to use this, but once the chain does get worn and stretched, you can only turn this in so far. It can only adjust it so much, and then at a certain point you're going to have to either take that link out or adjust the mounting of the engine. So we're going to talk about it all. Let me get these panels off. Okay, so again, normally you won't have to do this, but to get the panels off, there's just a few screws and a few bolts you have to remove. And I'm going to speed this up. Just so you know, there's a bolt here, one up here, these 2 screws, and then 1 screw back here. And basically you can get all this stuff out of the way so we can see everything. So I'll speed it up here. So right now there's quite a bit of play in here, and I can't tighten that up anymore. So we're gonna have to tighten up the engine, or slide the engine forward. It's very easy to do on this bike, because the bolts at the bottom, they're actually on, I don't know, a certain type of a material, like I don't know if it's a steel washer, but they're sort of designed so they're not super tight and the engine will slide. So this is going to be very easy, but there's a few things you need to do before you get into tightening this to pull the engine forward. Okay, so I have all the panels out of the way. I've loosened this up, and now you can see, like, it moves freely. This is what you want. So I loosen this bolt or the nut on the back. It doesn't have to be super loose. I loosen this off, and now you can see how this slides around. So this is like your main tensioner, your normal go-to to tighten the chain. And as you can see here, if it's forward like that, the chain is really loose. And as you tighten it up as time goes on, because it will need adjusting throughout its lifetime, and then finally it keeps tightening the chain up. But right now that I've loosened things up, I have been able to pull it so if I turn this right in, this chain is good right now, but it's right at its very end. So what we want to do, let's just move that forward, and I'm going to readjust the camera. We'll go down to the, well, maybe I can do it from here. Okay, that'll work. As I said, determine whether or not you need to loosen the motor mount bolts on here. You may or may not have to. I've determined I don't have to. So let's just keep this in mind. I'm going to start tightening up this front motor mount adjustment here. And that's just going to start sliding the motor forward. Actually, got to go the wrong way. Okay. Okay, so I have tightened it up. Like, it's all the way forward in here now. Remember when I had it before, all the way forward before? The chain was actually quite loose. But now it's pretty good, so now I have a good base to start from. So what I'm going to do now, just go ahead. I'm going to tighten up the tensioner roller here. No, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to tighten this guy up first, sorry. And with a bike that doesn't have a suspension, the chain, it really doesn't need a lot of play, but it should have about, in the widest span here, it should be able to move about 1/2 inch up and down. And I'm kind of seeing that there. But we'll tighten this up a tiny bit. It's pretty close. And this, I'm going to push this forward a little bit. Okay, so that's it's looking pretty good. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so that's feeling really good. And so I can, now the adjustment I have all the way, I can turn this all the way down the threads now to tighten up the chain in the future. But I'm just gonna make sure this is a little bit snugged up. It's a little bit of a process. All right, it's looking good. As I said, you don't have to normally take all this stuff apart. So I'm gonna put this back together. I have another video about doing all this stuff. And also a video about greasing up the clutch. I'll put some links in the video to that. I don't know, this is pretty straightforward. I hope this was easy to understand as to what you need to do at this point. So yeah, we're looking good here. It's feeling good. So I'm gonna put it together and away I go. I'm gonna drive it for a bit. I'll come back, check the chain, and most likely I'm gonna have to tighten this in a little bit more. I'm just gonna snug up this, I'll do that right now before I forget. So this is the tensioner roller. I'm just tightening that up. There. All right. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, I'm gonna put it together and go for a test drive, and then I might have to do some retightening again. Again, if you have to tighten it a little bit more or loosen it, loosen up this if you have to move this adjustment screw. Loosen that up a bit, adjust it, tighten that back up, and you should be good. Okay.